What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to JM Comics 01. This week was full of many announcements, from the PS5 State of Play, Pokemon Direct, and of course Nintendo Direct, where Skyward Sword HD was announced. And as you all probably know, this year is the 35th anniversary of Zelda. So without further ado, this list is The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, 5 reasons it rules and 5 reasons it doesn't. But first, hear me out. The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time changed video games forever. But in hindsight, it hasn't aged particularly well. Many people view this game and its sequel Majora's Mask with great nostalgia, since it was the first 3D game of its type at the time of release. This list is not a diss on the Ocarina of Time, but much rather a retrospection of the game's impact and how well or not well it's aged. So without further ado, let's start. Remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below about your favorite Zelda game. Okay, and number 10, our first reason for why it rules is its sense of adventure. Ocarina of Time perfectly captures the sense of adventure created by the series' 2D outings, specifically A Link to the Past. The game is not full open world, but with enough areas and secrets, it instills the player with the grand idea of embarking on a quest. And number 9, our first reason for why it sucks, the open fields. While Ocarina of Time is considered an open world game, sort of, a good amount of that game was sort of just empty, specifically Hyrule Field. However, it has enough landmarks to make areas distinctive and unique, but I still think they could have improved upon the finer details. And number 8, why it rules, characters. My favorite part about this game is the characters. It introduced us to the residents of Hyrule. It was the first time we were introduced to Ganondorf in his Gerudo form, Sheik, and Young Link, as Smash calls him. Other additions included different species like the Gorons and Zoras. There's only one character I can't stand, however. And that leads us right into number 7, why it sucks, Navi. Easily the most obnoxious character in the Zelda franchise, because at least Tingle is entertaining, Navi is the most hated aspect of this game for several gamers, since she screams, "Hey!" non-stop. Navi is so infamous that she's become an icon, despite her only appearance being in this game and the spin-off Hyrule Warriors. And number 6 for why it rules, the Zelda formula. Ocarina of Time invented the wheel for 3D Zelda games. Every Zelda game after this was heavily inspired by this game's formula, up until Breath of the Wild in 2017. As the first game, Ocarina wasn't as refined, but way more novel, in direct parallel to Skyward Sword, Switchport's coming, which was more refined but too derivative of previous entries. Number 5 for why it sucks, controls. This entry goes both for the original release on the N64 and the remaster on the 3DS, as both were a pain to control. The original did the best of the hardware, which was limited due to one analog in the middle, which is kind of gross looking, while the 3DS remaster was forced to make do with the 3DS's D-pad. The worst aspect of both was the awful camera controls. If a remake does happen, the new hardware would totally fix this issue. And let's be honest, there's a chance it could come and Switch this year for the 35th anniversary. And number 4 for why it rules, the soundtrack. This entry needs no introduction. If you've ever played Super Smash Bros., chances are one of these catchy ocarina tunes got stuck in your head. The soundtrack is so good, while also integral to the plot, that it really makes you believe the ocarina is an actual instrument. I mean, you can buy one now, so. And number 3 for why it sucks, graphics. Similar to the camera, the graphics have been limited to the consoles they were on. Both versions had pretty hideous graphics, but at least it is aged better than many Nintendo 64 games, Super Mario 64. Of the two, the 3DS remaster is obviously slightly better in account of improved textures and improved character models. And number 2, the number 1 reason for why it rules is it is the basis for open world games. Ocarina of Time's biggest contribution to video games as a medium is creating the basis for all open world games going forward. The sheer volume of games derived from Ocarina's base is insane. Series such as Grand Theft Auto, Far Cry, and Assassin's Creed are forever in debt to this game. And ironically, at number 1, for reasons why it sucks, it is surpassed by most open world games. In a poetic twist, Ocarina of Time's greatest strength also happens to be its greatest weakness. Because this game invented the open world formula, so many other games, like Red Dead Redemption 2, The Witcher 3, and God of War PS4, even Breath of the Wild, have usurped this game's throne, and made a return to Hyrule much harder, since we're accustomed to such modern helpings. That's all. Also check out my top 10 Nintendo Switch games, Animal Crossing New Horizons versus New Leaf, and top 10 Nintendo characters we need in Mario Kart 9.